In today's story, our heroine, Sarah, learns from her father-in-law that there are things in life more valuable than money. Money can sometimes erode people's hearts and lead them away from happiness. What truly matters is a heart that cares for family, trust, and bonds. That's what her father-in-law taught her. The story unfolds around this father-in-law. Even if not related by blood, there is a family that can love each other from the heart. Life's true happiness can be pursued without being swayed by money. I'd be delighted if you could find that message through this story. Now let's take a peek together into the world of Sarah's story.
My name is Sarah. I'm a housewife living in a house in the suburbs of Los Angeles with my husband, Zachary. My father-in-law lives with his daughter and her husband nearby, and we also check on him often. One day, when we visited my father-in-law's house, we ran into my sister-in-law, Caitlin. Caitlin is the opposite of Zachary, selfish and sloppy. Her husband, Nicholas, has a similar personality, so I was worried about my father-in-law's care. Hello, Father. I made some meatball spaghetti, so please have it tonight.
Thanks, Sarah. I always look forward to your cooking because it's delicious.
It's meatballs today, Dad. Your favorite, right?
Yeah, I can't wait for the dinner.
Oh, you guys are here again?
We're worried about Dad. Caitlin, if you cooked more and helped him with the housework, we wouldn't have to worry so much.
Don't nag me. Dad's doing it, so I don't need to go that far, do I?
But Dad's getting old, so it's not good to rely on him too much.
Yeah, I know. Hey Dad, what's that?
It's meatball spaghetti. Sarah made it for me.
For real? Lucky. I can skip cooking today then.
You need to make the side dishes yourself, Caitlin.
What a pain. Maybe I'll get something from the deli. I want to take it easy today.
You said that yesterday and bought a bunch of fried stuff from the deli. It's not good for your health.
If you have a problem, make it yourself. I work every day too, so I want to take a break sometimes.
I understand that you want to take it easy sometimes.
Right? You should get it if you're a fellow housewife.
But I don't think it's good to have only fried foods.
Huh? It's fine if it's tasty. Are you trying to call me fat?
That's not what I meant, but…
Whatever. I'm eating out today. Y'all just hate me, don't you?
You're the one who suggested eating out. You only act quickly at times like this. Dad, why don't you come live with us? I'm worried about you.
Sorry for making you worry, but it'd be sad to leave this house.
My father-in-law lost his beloved wife 4 years ago. They were supposed to spend time together on their own pace after retiring, but they were suddenly hit by a tragedy. So it seems painful for him to leave the house which full of memories with his wife. Zachary and I cherish my father-in-law. He's always been good to us as he paid for our wedding and still treats us to meals, sometimes. Since we can't repay him with money, we want to return something back to him. Please tell us right away if anything happens. We'll come running.
I'm worried if it's just Caitlin and Nicholas to care for Dad. We've got work too, but we'll support you as much as we can.
Thank you really, always.
Then, 2 years later, my father-in-law had an accident which he slipped down the stairs. Father, are you okay?
I can't believe that I slipped and fell down the stairs.
I'm glad for it was just a broken leg.
You're right about that. It seems like the treatment will take time, but it's nothing serious, so I should be discharged soon.
That's good to hear. If you have any trouble while you're in the hospital, just let us know.
Thank you.
My father-in-law slipped and fell down the stairs at his home and ended up being hospitalized. Fortunately, it was only a broken leg and no other injuries. It's truly a blessing in disguise that my father-in-law was okay. But there was someone who didn't feel that way.
Dad seems okay, doesn't he?
Yeah, somehow.
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
Honestly, I'm glad Dad's not home, though.
I definitely feel the same way.
To be honest, I'm thinking that it'd be better if he just die like that since I want the inheritance soon.
Hey, what are you saying?
That's terrible.
I'm kidding. You don't really think I'd seriously think that way, do you?
Can't you tell the difference between what's okay to say and what's not?
Geez, you're so loud. I took the time to come all the way to the hospital to see him, so just be grateful for that. Here, I brought the change of clothes and stuff you asked for. Next time, you better do it right, big bro.
Huh? She won't change her attitude even at a time like this, huh?
She used to be such a kind girl when she was little. I wonder when she became like that.
Cheer up. Caitlin's like that. But we've got your back.
Yeah, you're right.
My father-in-law had a slightly sad expression. It's no wonder, since his own daughter doesn't show concern for him. But the tragedy didn't end there. 6 months later, I heard a shocking story from Caitlin.
Dad's been discharged from the hospital, but it's tough for him to live at home, and he needs nursing care now. It's a real pain, so I'm gonna let you guys handle it, big bro.
Huh? What are you saying?
We mean that his fracture's healed, but it's become hard for him to walk. You know, I'd hate it if he becomes unable to do anything by himself and gets dementia or something from now on.
A few days after my father-in-law was safely discharged from the hospital, Caitlin and Nicholas called us out to my father-in-law's house and started telling us these things. Even though his fracture had healed, it seemed his leg was so bad that he couldn't walk without a cane, and it looked painful for him to move around inside the house. So it seems he needs nursing care, but
You only work part-time, sis-in-law, and can have kids, so you must have a lot of free time every day, right? You two should take care of the old man.
that's horrible. How can you say that?
I mean, it's a hassle. It can't be helped.
Don't treat your own father like an outsider. He's taken care of you all this time, hasn't he?
I'm grateful that he gave me money and did housework and stuff. But I don't want to take care of him. Dealing with an old man is seriously too much.
Is that something you should say about your father?
Don't butt into my family's problems, Auntie.
Andy, we're not that different in age, are we? And you're the one pushing this onto us, so I should have the right to complain.
You guys cherish father-in-law, don't you? Then you shouldn't have any complaints, right?
We're angry 'cause you're treating Dad so horribly.
So you're okay with taking care of him, right?
That's not what I'm saying.
What's that? You've been getting along with him all this time, but now you don't want to take care of him. Isn't that cruel, considering how much he's taken care of you?
This is what they call returning kindness with enmity, huh?
I don't want to hear that from you. Have you forgotten that you lived with him and were taken care of by him too, Caitlin and Nicholas?
We're the ones who earned money and took care of him, and we. Despite being an old man, he barely gets any pension and doesn't give us anything. Talk about disappointing.
That's true. I thought we were lucky that he paid for all the wedding expenses. But he hasn't done anything for us since then. If he's just doing housework, he's no different from a maid or something.
What do you two think Dad is? Nicholas, do you even understand that he's your wife's father?
That stuff doesn't really matter, does it? Whoever's parent they are. I hate old people. I mean, it's a pain, isn't it? They bring up old stories. They are slow. They get senile, and you can understand what they're saying. It's seriously gross.
I was thinking the same thing. Dad's seriously not worth living with 'cause he's poor. I was only living with him 'cause I didn't want to pay rent.
You two can't have kids anyway, so it's fine, isn't it?
An old man instead of a child? I guess he does need nursing care, so he's just like a kid.
Enough. I've realized that we absolutely can't leave Dad to you. We should have lived with him from the start.
If you did that, we wouldn't be able to live comfortably, would we? I mean, you're the ones who left the house in the first place, so it's a problem if you say that kind of thing now.
You sure talk big for someone just complaining. Then hurry up and take your father-in-law with you.
He's really in the way. So take all his stuff too, Kay?
Wait a sec. This is Dad's house. Shouldn't you be the ones leaving?
Oh, no way. Why should we have to leave?
'Cause this is our house now.
Father-in-law wanted to stay here because he cherished the memories with mother-in-law. Kicking him out is too cruel.
I don't know anything about that. He's gonna end up in a nursing home in a few years anyway, so it's fine if he leaves now. Dad agreed to it, so there's no problem.
Really?
Really, right, Dad?
Yeah, I'll leave this house. I've sorted out my belongings.
My father-in-law said that firmly, even though he looked sad.
But still.
See, it's just like I said.
I think you'll regret later for treating your parent like that.
It's fine. I'll get the inheritance properly, and there's nothing else, right?
Come on, Gramps. Hurry up and get out.
We left my father-in-law's family home with him. I really didn't think they'd say such cruel things. I wonder how hurt father-in-law must have been to be treated so coldly by his own daughter and son-in-law. But Zachary and I are prepared to support father-in-law until the end. Even if Caitlin and Nicholas abandon him, we'll become father-in-law's family. Zachary and father-in-law were talking.
Dad, I'm sorry. I wish I could somehow get the house back, but
It's okay. I've decided it can't be helped now. It's my fault for raising Caitlin like that.
Father.
I'm the one who should apologize. I must be a burden to you.
That's not true at all. We're happy to live with you, Father.
Thank you. By the way, do you think $20 million would cover the cost of taking care of me and my horse?
Huh?
wait a sec, Dad. What do you mean by that?
Then, 1 month later, here's what Caitlin and Nicholas were up to.
Come on, now that the old man's gone. We gotta do all the housework ourselves, so it's tough.
We have to do shopping too. Well, at least we don't have to pay rent. So that's something.
Oh, isn't it, Caitlin?
Oh, Auntie, hello.
It was delicious, wasn't it?
Oh, what was?
The high-end chocolates I got from Zachary. He said he was giving them to everyone he's indebted to. So you got some too, right? I wonder if Zachary's doing well at work lately. Haven't you heard anything?
Nah, I haven't heard anything.
Oh, is that so? I was hoping to hear if he had a good side business or something. I guess not. Let me know if you hear anything.
Hey, what's going on? Why's your bro have money? He was just a regular salary man, wasn't he?
I don't know. I don't know how much high-end chocolate he gave out, but he must be earning a lot if he's giving it to relatives. I'm gonna go ask him right now.
Meanwhile, we were spending time peacefully with my father-in-law. How are you feeling today, Father?
I'm doing much better. You said that you don't have work or anything today, right? I'm thinking about going for a walk, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Well then, I wanted to go shopping anyway. So why don't we go together?
Just then, the doorbell rang. I wonder who it is. Oh no.
What's wrong? Why are they here?
Big bro, open up. You're in there, aren't you?
What should we do?
It'd be a problem if she makes a scene. So I guess we should let them in. What do you want?
Is it true that you've become rich, big bro?
Did you hear that from?
And he told me. She said she got high-end chocolate from you.
She has a big mouth.
What did you do? You wouldn't do something like that just for getting promoted, would you?
It doesn't matter why it was.
It totally matters. Why didn't you give us any chocolate? That's wrong, isn't it?
That's not the point. Tell me how you earn the money. You shouldn't have time to earn money while taking care of Dad, right?
It's thanks to father-in-law that we're where we are now.
What do you mean?
Actually, there was something that father-in-law had been hiding. We found out about father-in-law's secret when he came to our house.
Do you think $20 million would be enough to cover the costs of taking care of me and my horse?
What?
Wait a minute, Dad. What do you mean by that?
Actually, I've been keeping a horse. I've left its care to someone, but it's expensive. The person I've been asking to take care of my horse is about to retire, so I'm thinking of having you two to take over.
Why are you keeping a horse?
$20 million. That's way too many digits.
Actually, I like horses. Or rather, I like thoroughbred race horses. Horse racing is my hobby.
Those are all news to me.
I loved it so much that I went to the races every day when I was young. I was lucky enough to win many times, and became able to own horses. I met your mother at the racetrack too. Those were the days.
So that's how it was. You never told us how you two met. Is it because you were hiding the fact that you were betting on horses?
Gambling is seen as a bad thing by society, right? I think it's fine as long as you don't go into debt. Though, anyway, your mother and I, who kept winning, decided to own a racehorse. The horse's name is Celine, and because she has a good pedigree, the upkeep costs are very high. But she's won many races, so I have quite a bit of money.
I see. So you want us to take care of Celine?
That's right. I know you both have jobs, but would it be too much to ask? The person I've been asking to take care of her is getting old. I could look for someone else, but you said you like animals, Sarah. So I thought I'd ask if you're interested.
But are you sure about this? Telling us something like this? I hate to say it myself, but we might get blinded by the money and sell her.
You wouldn't do that, Sarah. I don't think Zachary would get blinded by money either.
I'm glad you trust us. But are you sure about this?
Unlike Caitlin and Nicholas, I believe you two will take good care of Celine. I'm sure that you wouldn't do anything crazy because of money either.
I don't get it. What do you mean, a horse? If you had something like that, you should have told us sooner.
It's unfair to keep it from us.
I've seen a lot of people whose personalities changed because of money.
Father, you should have just rested in the back.
No, it's okay. I thought they wouldn't accept it unless I tell them myself. The reason I kept quiet was that I knew they'd get blinded by the money. They definitely would have sold the horse.
I wouldn't do something like that. If it's Dad's precious horse, I'd raise it properly, too.
Huh. I'd sell it right away.
Get your story straight. Why would you say something like that?
Caitlin's been obsessed with money for a while now. She couldn't marry a rich man, so she's become even more fixated on money.
You just looked down on me, didn't you?
If I had told you I had money, you would have relied on me even more than now and tried to monopolize the inheritance. That's why I didn't tell anyone except your mother.
But didn't you guys sell the horse, too? You must have, since you've gotten rich.
We haven't sold her. Sarah's been raising her properly.
I can't do it alone since I'm still figuring things out, but I'm studying hard and raising her. We finally got along well with each other recently.
The person I'd been asking to take care of her until now said that Celine would be fine if it's you, Sarah.
Really? I'm glad to hear that.
Animals tend to like Sarah, and more than anything, she's diligent.
I love animals, and it's father-in-law's precious horse, so I'm just doing my best.
What's with that? You were all hiding it because you wanted to be mean to us, weren't you? Hand her over. I'll take care of her.
I absolutely refuse.
Why?
Caitlin, you're sloppy with everything you do. So Celine would get hurt. You wouldn't give her any love either.
That's just an excuse. I like animals too.
If you touched her, my precious Celine would be tainted. Please, don't toxicate her.
What's that supposed to mean? Isn't that too cruel?
It's the result of your actions up until now. There's no way you could take care of a horse when you didn't help Dad when his body is getting weak.
You two, go home now. No matter what you say, I won't give you the money or the horse.
Fine then. Don't come crying to me later when you regret doing this to me.
Hey, wait up.
Caitlin left angrily. We couldn't hide our surprise when we found out about father-in-law's hidden assets and the secret of his horse. But at the same time, we understood why father-in-law trusted us. Unlike Caitlin and her husband, we would cherish and protect the horse. We promised not to be blinded by money and to carry on father-in-law's thoughts. From then on, I intended to connect with Celine and raise her well. I want to give her an elite education in horsemanship and show father-in-law the side of her winning the Dobby someday. I believe that's how I can repay the favor to him. And then, here's what happened later on.
I'll make him pay for making me angry. I figured out which one is Dad's horse by following Sarah.
Hey, how are we gonna steal a horse?
We'll figure something out. If it's impossible, we can just hurt her.
Won't they find out it was us?
You just need to shut up and follow me. This horse. Hey, hurry up and follow me.
Just then, the horse, Celine, let out a cry.
Eek.
Whoa,
Who's there?
Ow.
get an ambulance quick. I got kicked.
It seemed Caitlin and Nicholas snuck into the stable and tried to take Celine by approaching her. But the strong smell of Caitlin's perfume startled Celine and made her dislike them. Celine kicked the two of them flying with her hind legs. They were caught by the security guards who rushed over, and after being taken to the hospital, they were taken care of by the police for the crime of trespassing. Thanks to that, they both lost their jobs and were sentenced to pay a fine.
How did it come to this?
It's 'cause you said we should steal it.
You were into the idea at first too, weren't you? We don't have any money left, so we gotta earn some somehow. I'm gonna bet on horse races.
Are you serious?
Dad made that much money, so we can earn it too. We're going to the racetrack right now.
It seems Caitlin enthusiastically started betting on horse races, but she ended up losing every single race, and her debt snowballed. As a final act of kindness, father-in-law had been letting Caitlin and her husband use his old family home as it was, but he finally got fed up with them and kicked them out of the house too. Now it seems the two of them are living in a rundown apartment, but it's unclear whether they're actually working properly or not. Celine has a race today. If you're feeling well, would you like to go watch it together?
I'd love to go.
Celine's incredibly fast. So there's no doubt she'll win today, too.
Then we've got Give Celine a reward.
That's right. She likes sweets.
I'll get them ready.
I'm counting on you.
Since then, we have been living happily together with father-in-law. Celine is like a child to me too, and it's one of my joys to go cheer her on at the racetrack with them sometimes. Father-in-law seems truly happy too, and I'm really glad. He says he's going to use the assets earned from horse racing to preserve Celine's descendants and donate to nursing homes and foster care facilities. Inheriting father-in-law's wishes, Zachary and I also intend to help out in our own small way. We've grown apart from Caitlin and her husband for now, but I hope there'll come a day when we can make up again. But when I see her, someone who having lost sight of what's important in life because she was blinded by money, it makes me sad. I learned from father-in-law to cherish family and its bonds over money. I want to keep working together with Zachary to build a peaceful and happy home. How is our family's story? Looking back, there were ups and downs surrounding money. My father-in-law built a vast fortune, but chose to hide it from his family and live humbly. On the other hand, my sister-in-law, Caitlin, was blinded by money and ended up committing crimes. Money is certainly important for living, but I believe that invisible things like family love, trust, and bonds are even more precious. Just as my father-in-law trusted us and entrusted us with his horse, I want to trust and support my husband Zachary. It's important to have a firm sense of values in your own life instead of being swayed by money. Always cherish your family and never forget to be grateful. These two things may be the secrets of living a fulfilling life. I hope that all of you will also think about what is truly important to you. And I hope that you will prioritize that important things above all else as you walk through life. Thank you for staying with me until the end.
I'm Tara, moved to a new place. I was all excited about starting a new life, but then this troublesome couple next door made it impossible for me to live the dream I had imagined. Day in and day out, I had to put up with their awful attitude and words. Their unreasonable behavior eventually dragged me into a big mess. That, however, led to an unexpected turn of events. I was accused of something unbelievable by the couple next door. But once I explained the situation calmly, things finally started to settle down. In the beginning, I really struggled with the neighbor issue. It's resolved now, but sometimes I reminisce about those times. I'd be glad if someone on SNS would listen to my story.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Can you give me the details? Is this some kind of neighbor issue?
Probably, you could say it's a neighbor issue. I'm just a homemaker. Ever since we got married, my husband and I have been saving up because we always wanted a place of our own. And finally, we reached our goal and were able to build our house. We were very particular about constructing our home. It ended up costing a bit more than expected, but it was still within an acceptable limit. After the house was finished and we had moved in, my husband and I went around to greet our neighbors. We were familiar with the area since we lived around here before, but we didn't really know who our neighbors were. So instead of feeling excited about making new friends, I was more concerned about the possibility of running into troublesome people. What if we encounter someone scary? Can I really handle it?
Yeah, I guess so. But we'll manage. If there's anyone weird, we can just ignore them or keep our distance.
I wonder if it'll really be that easy. Contrary to my anxiety, my husband was as optimistic as ever. But he said,
Don't worry, it'll be fine.
he encouraging me.
Come on, let's go.
Led by my husband, we pressed the doorbell of the first house to introduce ourselves. Contrary to my fears, nothing worrying happened. The neighbors were all welcoming, and some even said, "If you ever need anything, feel free to ask." I felt relieved and reassured about our life in this new place. However, it later turned out that one person had been hiding her true colors. That person was Molly, our neighbor. She seemed very kind and approachable when we exchanged greetings. "Hello, I'm Tara, we've just moved in next door. Looking forward to be neighbors," I had said when we introduced ourselves.
"I'm Molly. Nice to meet you, Tara. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask,"
she had responded, looking very reliable. Since she was a neighbor and we'd probably interact a lot, and she had said I could rely on her, I thought maybe it was okay to lean on her a little. But a few days after our greeting, when I ran into Molly while taking out the trash in the morning, her attitude had completely changed. "Good morning," I greeted, but Molly just glanced at me and ignored me. It was clear she was intentionally ignoring me. She must have noticed me since she glanced my way when I spoke. I wondered what I could have possibly done to upset her. But no matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't think of anything. In the end, I never found out why Molly was ignoring me.
Oh no, being ignored really sucks. I wish at least they'd return a greeting.
Wow. Molly is gradually showing her true colors. This is getting interesting.
As I lived through such experiences, I started to think that being ignored might be better than other troubles. Of course, it hurts emotionally, but there's no physical harm, so maybe it's okay. Thinking this way made me feel a bit better. However, a new tragedy soon struck me. It happened while I was shopping at the nearby supermarket. As usual, I was looking at products, adding ingredients for dinner and discounted items to my cart. Thinking I would shop again the next day, I was heading to the checkout when I noticed a familiar person. It was Molly. Having been ignored by her all this time, I decided not to greet her and just lined up at the checkout, but then Molly spoke to me.
"Hey, Tara, is that you?
Hello.
Are you doing your shopping for dinner?"
Yes, that's right. Molly continued the conversation as if everything that had happened before was a lie.
"I'm shopping for dinner too. What are you making today?"
"I'm thinking of making a stew."
"That sounds lovely."
Wait, is she actually normal? Watching Molly's behavior made me wonder if I had just convinced myself she hadn't heard my greetings all this time. However, that thought was quickly shattered.
"You know what?"
Yes. Molly looked into my cart and made an incredibly rude comment.
"Why are you only buying discounted items? Are you short on cash? Are you by any chance poor?"
Excuse me.
Oh, that reaction. You must be a poor. I thought so. I had a feeling about it since the time you came to greet us.
What do you mean by that?
Exactly what I said. You're dressed shabbily, your hair's a mess, and you're not even wearing makeup, right? You should at least put on some makeup when you're greeting people.
No, that's not it. In reality, I had made an effort to look my best before greeting them, paying attention to my appearance. If that didn't come across, I'm sorry, but being judged for not caring about my appearance was very uncomfortable.
You're saying that's not true? It's quite bold of you to say that looking the way you do. It's not just unfashionable. It's like you've given up on being a person.
What?
Well, but since you're poor, I guess you can't help looking so shabby. Sorry for saying weird things. Poor person.
Molly, seemingly satisfied with demeaning me, cheerfully returned to her shopping.
Molly is too awful to be funny.
Tara, you haven't had many encounters with Molly, right? How did it even get to this point?
That was exactly what I wanted to know the most. I truly don't recall doing anything to Molly, and we barely even met. So, I couldn't understand why she would say such terrible things to me. It was baffling. Molly must have only pretended to be kind during our greeting. Regardless of the reason, the harsh treatment I received from Molly was real. I was simply shocked. Right after moving in, I started receiving harassment from Molly, which began with ignoring me and escalated to unbelievable rudeness, deeply hurting me. However, the incident at the supermarket only worsened Molly's behavior towards me. Afterward, she would find any excuse to hassle me, whether during trash disposal, shopping at the supermarket, or while I was outside working.
Oh, so despite being poor, you're a stay-at-home spouse? I feel sorry for your husband.
Initially, I tried not to react much, but gradually, I began to stand up to Molly. Being a stay-at-home spouse is our personal decision. It doesn't concern you, Molly.
Huh? It doesn't concern me?
I don't recall causing you any trouble, so could you please stop picking fights without reason?
Trouble? You've caused plenty.
What do you mean by that?
Just the fact that you moved in is a nuisance. Building a house and driving a car beyond your means, just to show off.
Building a house and driving a car are normal things, aren't they? And how can you say it's beyond our means?
Keep your voice down. Don't talk back to me. From my point of view, you're just an eyesore. An annoyance. Just move away already.
Molly quickly resorts to saying keep quiet whenever something inconvenient comes up. This makes it impossible to have a discussion. Maybe it would be better if I just kept silent, but being constantly belittled like this is distressing.
What's Molly's husband doing about this? He can't be unaware, right?
Honestly, I don't think Molly's husband was aware of what she was doing. Molly cleverly chose the times to harass me while her husband was out at work. But eventually, Molly's husband did come to learn the whole story. Even as I kept countering, Molly was not deterred. Instead, she began hurling even worse insults my way. Even when we happened to meet at the supermarket, she showed no concern for the people around us. Molly said,
Tara, I see you're only buying discounted items again today. Really gives off that poor vibe.
"What are you trying to say?" I asked.
Oh, nothing. I just would never buy discounted items. I want to provide better for my family.
Molly retorted. So I responded, "Then perhaps you should shop somewhere else? By the way, I see discounted items in your cart too. How do you explain that?" She said,
This is just a coincidence. So annoying.
I thought it was ridiculous to be labeled poor just for buying discounted items. If her logic held, Molly would be considered poor too. I wondered how she reconciled that contradiction in her mind, but knew asking would only get me as so annoying in response. By this point, I had told my husband everything about Molly. My husband said,
Molly's been doing what to you? Come on, I'm going to talk to her about this right now.
"No, it's okay. I just wanted to let you know. If Molly says anything to you, just ignore it. I think she just doesn't like me for some reason."
Right? But let me know immediately if anything happens, okay?
"Yeah, thanks," I replied. From then on, Michael became wary of Molly, but he never unnecessarily intervened, just quietly kept an eye on things. Talking to him didn't change the situation, but at least I knew Michael was on my side. One day,
Wow, looking poor as ever today. So tacky.
Molly sneered. "Oh, is that so?" I responded, unfazed.
What's with that attitude? Really gets under my skin. When are you moving out? You're such an eyesore.
Molly became more aggressive. "If I'm such an eyesore, perhaps you should move?" "It doesn't bother me," I calmly replied.
Why should I have to move? I've been on this land long before you.
Molly was furious. "And your point is?" I asked even more calmly.
You really are clueless. Lacking in both class and intelligence. Ever thought of improving your thinking skills?
Molly insulted me further. "Maybe you should reconsider your habit of speaking ill of others, Molly?" I suggested calmly.
Speaking ill? I'm only stating the facts. This woman is so infuriating.
Molly showed her anger openly. I had been entangled by Molly multiple times, and her accusations were mostly the same. Stupid, poor. Move out soon. If she disliked me so much, she might as well move out herself. At this point, it almost felt like she was obsessed with me. Either way, it was troublesome. I spent my days wondering when Molly would give up.
Molly is too scary. Such a neighbor would be unbearable.
Is there more to this?
Then, one day, an incident that significantly changed the situation occurred. 6 months after moving in, while I was finishing up household chores and watching TV, the doorbell rang. Not expecting any visitors, I checked the monitor to see an angry Molly. I ignored it at first, but she kept pressing the doorbell, so I reluctantly decided to answer. What is it?
Your tree in the garden. What are you going to do about it?
Molly lashed out. Huh? A tree? I haven't planted any trees. I was surprised.
You planted it, right? What are you going to do about it?
Molly persisted. However, there were no trees in my garden. Going out to the garden as Molly insisted, indeed, there was a large tree between Molly's and my garden. But it was clearly growing from Molly's property. This. How can you blame me? It's clearly coming from your side. I calmly retorted.
What? Are you even looking? It has to be your tree. I mean, I don't remember planting any tree. If I didn't plant it, then it must be from your yard.
Molly's voice grew even louder. Neither my husband nor I had planted any trees in our garden, and frankly, we weren't interested in that sort of thing. I said, "We're not interested in trees. If we had planted one, we'd make sure it wouldn't bother anyone."
If you didn't plant it, maybe your husband did?
Molly speculated. I asked her. If my husband had planted it, he would have mentioned it to me. Since I haven't heard anything about it, could it be that your husband planted it?
My husband? That's impossible.
Molly immediately dismissed the idea. Considering the tree was clearly growing in Molly's yard and that I hadn't heard anything from my husband, it seemed the tree must belong to Molly's property. I asked again. Really?
Yes, really. Are you saying I'm lying?
Molly became furious. No, it's not that. It's just that it's obviously growing in your yard. I replied calmly.
What? Are you talking back to me?
Molly's anger intensified. At this point, it wasn't anger I felt but concern, as the conversation was getting nowhere.
Did you not know that a tree was growing from Molly's yard until that moment?
I had no interest, and I genuinely didn't know. It surprised me how unaware I was of what's planted in the neighbors' gardens. As usual, the conversation didn't progress and stayed at an impasse. I thought it was hopeless. Continuing the conversation seemed unlikely to change Molly's stance. I remembered it was about time for my husband to return home, but almost gave up hope that anything would change. However, at that moment, a car stopped in front of Molly's house.
Oh.
Molly exclaimed. To my surprise, it was Molly's husband who got out of the car. He noticed us talking and came over.
Good evening.
He greeted us cheerfully. Good evening. I replied, somewhat bewildered.
What's going on? This is unusual.
Molly's husband asked with curiosity.
Well?
Molly started to say something to her husband, but clearly looked like she was trying to hide her misdeeds. I couldn't let this opportunity slip by and decided to tell Molly's husband the truth. Well, Molly has been claiming that a tree from my garden is causing trouble in hers. But we haven't planted any trees, so that's impossible. I explained, pointing to the problematic tree. Molly's husband looked surprised.
Hey, isn't this the one I planted a while back? I even told you I bought a nice tree and planted it, didn't I?
He said.
Molly
stuttered, trying to sidestep the conversation.
Did we? I might have forgotten.
She said. Her husband continued.
You said you understood, and right after I told you, you went out to see what kind of tree it was. Weren't you actually aware of it?
Molly attempted to brush it off with a forced laugh. Concerned she might dodge the issue, I decided to be direct. Molly, did you actually know and falsely accuse me? I don't know what I've done to upset you, but I'd like you to stop hurling insults and making baseless claims. Molly's husband was shocked, then he asked.
What? Always.
Yes. She constantly criticizes me, calling me poor and disgraceful. I revealed. It seemed Molly's husband was unaware of her behavior until now, and his face grew serious.
Hey, is this true? Molly?
He looked intently at Molly. Molly hesitated, but her husband firmly said.
Tell the truth.
Finally, Molly confessed.
So annoying. Everyone always makes me out to be the bad person. Yes, I knew the tree was planted in my yard. But I just couldn't stand Tara and thought I'd blame her.
Finally, Molly's true intentions were exposed. At that moment, the reaction of Molly's husband marked a significant turning point in what was to come. He was visibly shaken.
What are you doing? Do you think it's okay to trouble people for such a silly reason?
He exclaimed. Molly stuttered.
But
No bits. Stop talking like a child. What are you doing? Do you really think such a bizarre reason will hold up?
But
No buts. Don't talk like a child.
After their argument, Molly's husband turned to me and apologized sincerely.
I'm really sorry about all of this. I'm at a loss for words. I'm also to blame for not noticing sooner. I truly apologize. If only I had paid more attention.
But I didn't think Molly's husband was at fault at all. No. You have done nothing wrong.
But,
Really. I tried to convince him it wasn't his fault.
hey, Molly, don't you have something you need to say?
Molly's husband firmly said.
You know what I mean, right?
I'm sorry.
Do you really regret it?
There was no response from Molly to that question.
Q. I've had enough of you. I never thought you were this kind of person. When we get inside, we're going to have a serious talk about the future.
But that's not fair.
What? You still think you've done nothing wrong? I'm truly appalled. Tara, I'll have a proper talk with her. I'm really sorry for all of this.
After apologizing sincerely to me many times, Molly's husband dragged Molly back into their house. The last expression Molly showed me was filled with frustration. A few weeks later, Molly and her husband visited our house to tell us about what had happened since then. Upon being confronted by her husband, Molly admitted to all her past actions. Furthermore, they had a serious conversation where her husband stated he would divorce her without hesitation if such behavior occurred again. It seems even Molly was afraid of divorce. I was told she agreed to it while crying. Molly also apologized to me. So now, I no longer have to be troubled by her. This realization significantly lightened my spirits. Currently, I am enjoying a very peaceful and happy life. When I discussed the tree situation with my husband, he said,
I should have confronted them directly.
But I was the one who asked him to let it go, and he was not at fault. After explaining this, he seemed slightly dissatisfied but eventually accepted it with a,
I see.
I hope to continue living peacefully, without being disturbed by troublesome individuals.